What if I told you that most people today are living in a state of quiet defeat? Not because they lack talent, not because they lack dreams, but because they lack mental strength. But here's the twist. The ancient Stoics knew this. They understood this battle for the human soul long before smartphones, before social media, before the endless noise of the modern world. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who ruled through plague and war, once wrote in his private journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That isn't just a quote. It's a weapon. It's a mindset. It's an operating system for the soul, a way to live in the heart of chaos and remain unshaken. Stoicism doesn't make your life easy. No, it forges you into someone who is unstoppable. And in this video, we are diving deep into 8 brutal Stoic laws that will force you to level up mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Let's begin. Modern life has sold us a dangerous lie, that the goal is to avoid pain. The Stoics taught the exact opposite. Walk towards it, with your eyes open and a calm heart. Think about the greatest moment of growth in your entire life. Was it born from comfort? Or did it happen when life punched you in the face, and you had to choose between rising up or staying broken? What stands in the way becomes the way. That's not poetry. That is the law of growth. Every obstacle is a chance to sharpen your will. Every delay, a test of your patience. Every rejection, a masterclass in resilience. While the world whispers, "Avoid pain," Stoicism roars back, "Train for it." That cold shower in the morning, that's a test. The difficult financial conversation you keep avoiding, like making that call to collect a debt or negotiating your salary, that is a path. The moment you shut off the doom scroll to sit down for 15 minutes to do your personal budget, that is where your character is being carved from stone. Why do we hate discomfort so much? Psychologically, our brains are wired to seek comfort and follow the path of least resistance. It's an ancient survival mechanism to conserve energy. Comfort releases dopamine, making us feel good immediately. But here's the trap. By constantly choosing the easy path, we are training our brains to be weak. We create neural pathways of avoidance. When a real challenge hits, we have no neural pathways built for resilience. I think of Sarah's story. At 28, she poured her life savings into a fashion startup. 6 months later, it all collapsed. She lost everything, was deep in debt, and had to move back in with her parents. It was a financial and spiritual rock bottom. The discomfort wasn't just a cold shower. It was shame. It was failure. Instead of hiding, she faced it head on. She got a job as a barista to pay off her debts. Every day, she woke up at 5 a.m. to study finance and marketing. The discomfort of facing her creditors, the exhaustion of working 2 jobs, it forged her. 3 years later, she started again, smaller, smarter. Her second business succeeded, not despite her failure, but because of the lessons it forged. Discomfort is not your enemy. It is your most honest mirror. It shows you who you really are. And more importantly, who you are capable of becoming. From now on, see discomfort as your sparring partner. It might bruise you, but it is building you into a warrior. Just breathe for a second. That fear, what is it telling you? Don't run. Listen. In the next 24 hours, do one thing you are actively avoiding because it's uncomfortable. It could be that difficult phone call, cleaning that cluttered room, or simply exercising when you feel lazy. Just do it, and notice the feeling of strength you get after it's done. Ask yourself honestly, how often do your emotions control your day? A rude comment ruins your morning. A change of plans throws your entire being into chaos. If you are ruled by your emotions, you are a slave. And the Stoics believe that slavery to emotion is worse than chains on your wrists. Epictetus, a Stoic teacher and former slave himself, said, "Any person capable of angering you becomes your master." Let that sink in. That person who cut you off in traffic, you just handed them your piece. That one negative comment online, you just gave it your joy. When an event happens, we have an immediate emotional reaction. This is known as the amygdala hijack. The amygdala is our primitive brain, responsible for the fight-or-flight response. It reacts far faster than our prefrontal cortex, our logical, rational brain. That jolt of anger, fear, or anxiety is an automatic reaction. This is what triggers that impulsive buy now click or that panic sell order in trading. But here is the key. There is a small gap, just a few seconds, between the stimulus and our response. Power lies in recognizing that gap. Viktor Frankl, a psychologist and Holocaust survivor, said it best. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Even when stripped of everything, he realized the Nazi guards could control his body, but they could never control how he chose to respond to his circumstances. He chose to find meaning, even in suffering. Stoicism doesn't ask you to become a robot and ignore your emotions. It teaches you to observe them, understand them, and use that space to respond, instead of blindly reacting. The power isn't in feeling nothing. The power is in feeling everything, and choosing to act with intention anyway. This isn't being cold. This is being in control. Real growth begins when you stop being a puppet and start being the master. Can you feel that space? Just for a moment. That is where your freedom begins. The next time you feel a strong negative emotion rising, anger, fear, or a rush of excitement to buy now, practice the 5-second rule. Don't speak, don't type, don't act. Just breathe deeply and count to 5. Use that space to label the emotion. I am feeling fear. I am feeling greed. Just by naming it, you take the power back from the amygdala and give it to your rational mind. One of the fastest ways to guarantee a life of suffering is to expect the world to be fair. Fairness is a beautiful idea, but it's a concept we created, not a fundamental rule of the universe. Life doesn't guarantee fairness. Your strength lies in your internal capacity to respond to it. The average person waits for the world to be fair before they act. The Stoic, they build an inner fortress so strong that the world's unfairness cannot breach its walls. There's an ancient Taoist parable of the farmer and his horse. One day, his horse ran away. The neighbors came by and said, "Such bad luck?" The farmer just shrugged and said, "Maybe." The next day, the horse returned, bringing 7 wild horses with it. The neighbors cheered. "Such good luck." The farmer said, "Maybe." The following day, his son tried to tame one of the wild horses, was thrown, and broke his leg. The neighbors sighed, "Such bad luck." The farmer again said, "Maybe." The next week, military officials came to the village to draft young men for the war, but they passed over his son because of his broken leg. Good luck? Bad luck? Who knows? The lesson is that we label events as fair or unfair far too quickly. We are trapped by the just world fallacy, a psychological belief that the world is inherently orderly and people get what they deserve. This belief gives us a false sense of security. When something bad happens to a good person, it shatters our worldview and causes anger. The Stoic accepts that the universe is indifferent. It is not targeting you. The market isn't fair to you. Your job is to optimize your actions, diversify, control your spending, increase your income. This doesn't mean you become heartless. It means you stop wasting energy screaming at the universe, "That's not fair." And you start using that energy to deal with reality. Your responsibility is not to demand fairness. Your responsibility is to respond with strength, with dignity, and with an unbreakable will. That response is what makes you unstoppable. Relax your shoulders. Let go of the need to control the universe. Feel that relief? The next time something unfair happens to you, you're passed over for a promotion. Someone treats you poorly. Allow yourself to feel the frustration for exactly 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, forbid yourself from complaining. Instead, ask yourself one single question: what will I do now? Focus 100% of your energy on your next move. Your power in this life lies in a very small, very specific circle. Everything outside of that circle, you must learn to let go. So what is truly under your control? Only 3 things: your thoughts, your choices, and your actions. That's it. Everything else, the opinions of others, the economy, the future, the past, it is all outside of your power. Imagine you're going into a job interview. You're worried about whether the interviewer will like you. You're worried about the other candidates. You're worried if you'll get the offer at the salary you want. All of this is outside your control. The Stoic would practice what they call the dichotomy of control. You cannot control the interviewer, but you can control your preparation. You cannot control the other candidates, but you can control your answers. You cannot control the final outcome or your boss's decision, but you can control showing up on time, the confidence with which you present your value, and how you negotiate. Focus all your energy on what you can control and accept the rest. Anxiety, at its core, is mental focus spent on things outside your circle of control. It's running what-if scenarios about a future you cannot command. It is the single greatest waste of emotional and mental energy. When you pull your focus back into your circle of control, anxiety starves. It has no fuel to burn. Imagine you're a sailor in a hurricane. The Stoic doesn't scream at the wind or curse the waves. He grabs the wheel and navigates. He focuses only on his next move. 90% of what people worry about is completely outside their control. Every time you feel stress, ask yourself this one simple question: is this within my control? If the answer is yes, act. If the answer is no, accept it and let it go. Feel that weight lift off your shoulders. You don't have to carry the world. You just have to do your part. Take a piece of paper, draw a large circle. Inside the circle, write down 3 financial actions you can control today. E.g., 1. Track all my spending. 2. Send 1 email to negotiate a fee. 3. Read 10 pages of an investing book. Outside the circle, write 3 things you're worried about that you cannot control. E.g., the stock market tomorrow, inflation, what others think of my finances. Look at the paper. Commit to focusing only on what's inside the circle. In a world addicted to convenience, discipline is a superpower. The Stoics didn't wait for life to throw punches. They trained for them first, not to suffer, but to strengthen. Not to punish, but to prepare. Think of the ancient Spartans. They were forced to sleep on hard reeds and endure the cold, not for cruelty's sake, but to create mental toughness. They calloused their minds as well as their bodies. Similarly, modern special forces endure Hell Week, intense drills, sleep deprivation, to find their limits and push past them. They voluntarily enter hell so that when a real crisis hits, it feels familiar. This ties into a psychological concept called hedonic adaptation. Our brains have a baseline level of happiness. As we experience more conveniences, better food, softer beds, constant entertainment, our baseline adjusts. We need more and more comfort just to feel normal. Voluntary hardship acts as a reset button. By taking a cold shower, you make a warm shower feel like a luxury. By fasting for a day, you make a simple meal taste like a feast. You are retraining your brain for gratitude and resilience. Note, if you have underlying health conditions or are under treatment, please consult a medical professional before attempting physical challenges like fasting or cold exposure. You do not build an unbreakable will by watching motivational videos. You build it by intentionally doing the things you don't want to do. Fast for a day to prove you control your urges. Take a cold shower when your mind screams, "No." Wake up an hour earlier to train when your body craves the warmth of the bed. These small, chosen hardships stack up. And over time, you build a resilience that comfort could never give you. You smile when hardship arrives because you have already walked through the fire by choice. It sounds harsh, but feel it. This isn't torture. This is liberation. Pick one daily hardship tax, just one small thing. It could be the last 30 seconds of your shower are cold, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, or reading 10 pages of a difficult book instead of scrolling social media. Make it a non-negotiable habit. Our society is obsessed with results, the promotion, the trophy, the validation. But Stoicism flips the script entirely. Detach from the outcome and fall in love with the process. Why? Because the result is never guaranteed. But your effort, your focus, your discipline, that is always within your control. When you tie your self-worth to an outcome you can't control, you become fragile. You're on an emotional roller coaster. When you win, you're high. When you lose, you're crushed. This is the mindset of someone checking their investment app every 5 minutes. But when you tie your worth to the process, to the effort, to the simple act of showing up and doing the work, you become unstoppable. Your self-worth becomes stable. It's built on a foundation that no one and nothing can ever take from you. Ironically, when you truly let go of needing a specific outcome, you free yourself from the pressure and anxiety of failure. Duvet allows you to perform at your absolute best, and often you achieve more than you ever thought possible. Do you feel your fists clench when you think of your goals? Unclench them. Fall in love with the action. Fall in love with the becoming. Pick one important financial goal you're working on, instead of only writing down the outcome, e.g., make X amount of money. Write down 3 daily process wins, e.g., 1. Stick to my budget 100%. 2. Spend 20 minutes reading a fund report. 3. Automate my $5 DCA. At the end of the day, judge your success only on whether you completed those process steps, regardless of whether the market was up or down today. Most people live as if they have forever. They put their dreams on hold. They tolerate mediocrity. They wait for someday. The Stoics meditated on death, memento mori, or remember you will die, not to be morbid, but to finally wake up. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." That is not a threat. That is the ultimate liberation. Steve Jobs, in his famous Stanford commencement speech, said that remembering he would be dead soon was the most important tool he'd ever encountered to help him make the big choices in life. Because, he said, almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, all these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Psychologically, we humans are prone to terror management theory. We build belief systems, chase fame, or accumulate wealth, all as unconscious attempts to feel immortal and significant. But this is just a distraction. The Stoics do the opposite. They face that truth head-on. When you truly accept your time is finite, mediocrity becomes unbearable. You no longer have time for petty arguments, meaningless jobs, or toxic relationships. When you truly internalize that your time is finite, you stop wasting it. You stop arguing over trivial things. You stop scrolling for hours. You speak the truth. You love openly. You work with urgency. The ultimate failure in life is not death. The ultimate failure is a life wasted. Live like you are on borrowed time, because you are. Just for a second. Feel the preciousness of this single breath. This is all you have. Don't waste it. Try the Stoic evening review. Before you go to sleep, ask yourself, if today were my last, would I be satisfied with how I lived? Where did I waste time? Where was I brave? Where was I kind? Don't use it to judge yourself. Use it to aim for a better tomorrow. Most people live their lives for an audience. They crave the likes, the praise, the applause. But the Stoic does not move for the crowd. The Stoic moves for virtue. In other words, live with honor, even if no one is watching. Think of Cato the Younger, a Roman statesman and die-hard Stoic. He was the mortal enemy of Julius Caesar. As Caesar was consolidating power, he offered alliances to Cato. Most men bent the knee to Caesar out of fear or ambition. But Cato refused. He would rather die than compromise his principles and watch the Republic fall. He didn't do it for approval. In fact, it made him an outcast. He did it because it was the right thing to do, according to his internal compass. We are social creatures. We are wired with a deep psychological need for acceptance. We use the social mirror to see our worth. We only feel good about ourselves when others tell us we are good. This is external validation. Stoicism teaches us to switch to an internal scorecard. Your worth is not decided by the crowd. It's decided by your character. Financial virtue is being honest with your budget, paying your debts on time, and not flexing your gains on social media just for likes. Are you honest? Are you brave? Do you keep your word? Doing the right thing is often the hard thing. But every single time you choose what is right over what is easy, you are forging an identity that no one can ever take from you. When you stop needing the approval of the crowd, you become the kind of person they are inspired to follow. Put your hand on your heart. You know what's right. Listen to that quiet voice. In the next 48 hours, do one intentionally kind, honorable, or generous act, and tell no one about it. No post. Don't tell your friends. Do it just because you know it's the right thing to do. Feel how powerful internal validation is. If you've made it this far, it means something deep inside you is ready to evolve, to leave behind the weakness, the distraction, the emotional chaos, and to step into a version of yourself that is grounded in real power, not domination over others, but mastery over yourself. That is the Stoic path. It doesn't offer you comfort. It offers you clarity. It offers you direction. It offers you a life of profound meaning, even when the world around you is crumbling. True strength isn't in muscles or money. It's in the man who keeps his word, the woman who faces fear without flinching, the soul who does the right thing, especially when it's the hard thing. You do not need to wait for motivation. You do not need the perfect moment. You just need to begin right now. Train your mind. Expect struggle. Detach from outcomes. Live by your principles. And live like your time is running out, because it is. And the most beautiful part is that you don't need applause. You don't need praise. You don't need anyone else to understand you. Because when you walk the Stoic path, you become unshakable from within. And that kind of strength, it is rare, it is real, and it is yours for the taking. If this message resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Comment process over outcome if you are committing to start today. We are building a community of thinkers, warriors, and real ones. And remember, do not stop until you become unstoppable.